The last order. Have you ever stopped to think about who or what might be placing those late-night food orders? I've been delivering food around Boston for about 8 months now. College tuition isn't going to pay itself, right? The night shift pays better, fewer traffic jams, and I can code during downtime. Perfect for an introverted comp sci major like me. The app pinged just after 2 a.m. last Tuesday. Nothing unusual, just another insomniac craving pad thai or someone pulling an all-nighter. The address was in one of those old Victorian neighborhoods where fog seems to cling to the street lamps no matter the season. 55 Blackwood Lane, 3rd floor, apartment 3C. The GPS took me through narrow streets flanked by centuries-old brick buildings with their ornate facades. I'd delivered to this neighborhood before, but something felt different tonight. The fog was thicker, almost alive, swirling around my car's headlights like curious fingers. The temperature on my dashboard dropped from 48 to 39 in less than a minute. I pulled up to the address, a narrow brownstone with wrought iron details that looked like they belonged in a gothic horror film. Most windows were dark, except for a single light on the 3rd floor. At least someone was awake to receive their order. The building's front door was unlocked. No doorman, no security system, just a creaking door and a stairwell with flickering lights. The staircase wound upward in tight spirals, the wooden steps groaning under my weight as if I was the first person to climb them in years. I noticed something odd on the 2nd floor landing. A stack of mail, yellowed with age. The most recent postmark I could make out was from 2018. The hallway on the 3rd floor was narrow, the wallpaper faded with water stains that looked disturbingly like faces if you stared too long. Apartments 3A, 3B, there, 3C at the end of the hall. I knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Food delivery, I called out, surprised by how my voice seemed absorbed by the walls rather than echoing down the hallway. The door creaked open on its own, just an inch at first, then wider. No one stood on the other side. Hello, your delivery's here. I should have just left the food and gone, but the app required a signature for this order. The apartment beyond was sparsely furnished. Vintage stuff like something from the 70s. The air felt stale, cold, with a faint smell I couldn't quite place. Something between old books and burnt sugar. Hello. I called again, stepping inside against my better judgment. A single lamp cast yellow light across the living room. An old record player spun silently in the corner, needle hovering over vinyl without producing sound. On the coffee table sat a stack of newspapers, the headline on top announcing the Challenger disaster. My phone buzzed. The app was glitching, the delivery screen distorting with pixelated artifacts. The customer's name kept changing: David, Maria, Thomas, Elizabeth, cycling through names faster than I could read them. I've been waiting for you. The voice came from behind me, soft, almost whispering. I turned to see an elderly woman in a faded blue dress. She hadn't been there a second ago. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes reflected no light. Your food, I stammered, holding out the bag. She smiled, revealing teeth too perfect, too white. It's not food I ordered, dear. It's company. My finger hovered over the emergency button on my phone. The app says you ordered the pad thai special. Apps can be confused, just like people. She gestured to a dining table that now had 2 place settings. Won't you join me? It's been so long since anyone came to visit. The table hadn't been there when I walked in. I was certain of it. I can't. Other deliveries waiting. The lie felt heavy on my tongue. Her smile faded. No one ever stays. They all make excuses. The room temperature plummeted. My breath fogged in front of my face. Check the mailbox, she whispered. Check it before you leave. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. I really need to go. They found my body last week, you know. Her voice had changed, now sounding like many voices speaking in unison. After all these years, behind the wall in the basement, but they don't know about the others. I ran down the stairs, nearly falling, the food bag abandoned somewhere behind me, out into the street where the fog seemed to part around me as I sprinted to my car. My hand shook so badly I could barely start the engine. As I pulled away, I glanced in my rearview mirror. There she was, standing in the middle of the road, still smiling. And beside her, other figures emerged from the fog. A businessman in a 50s suit, a young woman in 90s grunge attire, a child in outdated clothes, all with the same hollow eyes, all raising their hands in farewell. I called the police when I got home, told them everything. They checked the address. 55 Blackwood Lane had burned down in 1983. The lot has been empty ever since. But here's the strangest part. When I opened the food delivery app the next day, I had a 5-star rating from that night. The customer comment simply read, "He'll be back." They always come back eventually. Sometimes when I'm driving late at night, my GPS tries to route me back to Blackwood Lane even when my destination is nowhere near it. And whenever I get a delivery request after 2 a.m., I find myself checking the address twice. Because I can't shake the feeling that one night, no matter which address I'm sent to, I'll end up back at apartment 3C. What would you do if your delivery app sent you somewhere that shouldn't exist? And more importantly, would you check the mailbox? Thank you all for joining me for another spine-chilling tale from the darkest corners of our world. If you're new to Dark Tales Vault and enjoyed having your blood run cold tonight, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm working hard to reach my first 100 subscribers, which would mean the world to me and motivate me to create even more terrifying stories for you all. Every single subscriber counts and is incredibly valuable to me as I build this channel. Now, steel your nerves as we plunge into our next horrifying story. Address of no return. Have you ever wondered what lies behind those identical suburban doors when the whole world is asleep? 3 years of night deliveries in Seattle suburbs, and I still can't save enough for Jamie's college fund. Single motherhood wasn't what I planned at 35, but here we are, me driving through torrential rain at midnight while my son sleeps at my sister's. Tonight's weather was brutal even by Seattle standards. Rain hammered my windshield like it had a personal vendetta, streetlights reduced to smeared halos through the downpour. The navigation app kept recalculating, confused by flooded streets. "You have arrived at your destination," the robotic voice announced as I pulled up to Oakwood Heights, one of those cookie-cutter subdivisions where every house is a carbon copy of its neighbor, differentiated only by the color of the front door and maybe a lawn ornament. The order was for 1427 Birchwood Drive. I grabbed the food bag and my umbrella, which immediately flipped inside out in the howling wind. Great. I sprinted through the rain, past identical mailboxes and driveways. The homes looked eerily similar in the rain, shadows playing tricks, making it seem like the same house was repeating down the street. 1421, 1423, 1425, 1427, a blue colonial with perfectly trimmed hedges, even in this weather. A single light glowed from an upstairs window. I rang the doorbell, then knocked when no one answered. The door swung open slightly. Not unusual. People often leave it unlocked when expecting food. "Hello, food delivery," I called out, pushing the door wider. The interior was meticulously clean, almost sterile. Family photos lined the walls, but something about them seemed off. In every picture, the family, mom, dad, teenage son, wore the same clothes, stood in identical poses. "Hello, anyone home? How about your order?" My voice sounded muffled, as if the walls were absorbing it. I stepped further inside, against my usual protocol. The living room was perfectly arranged, furniture that looked like it came straight from a catalog display, not a cushion out of place. No dust, no clutter, no signs of actual living. The television was on, but muted, showing what looked like home videos of the family having dinner. The timestamp in the corner read today's date. In the kitchen, a woman's voice called cheerfully. Relief washed over me as I headed toward the voice. The kitchen was spotless, gleaming countertops, not a dish in sight. A woman stood with her back to me, arranging flowers in a vase. "Sorry about the wait," I said, placing the food bag on the counter. "The weather's awful tonight." She turned slowly, and my heart stuttered. Her face wasn't, right? It was perfect, too perfect, like a computer-generated image of a suburban mom. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, which reflected no light. "You're exactly on time," she said, her voice now sounding slightly mechanical. "We've been waiting for you." I glanced around, seeing no one else. "The family," she gestured to empty chairs around the dining table. "We're all here." A chill ran down my spine as I backed toward the door. "I just need a signature on the app, please." She tilted her head at an impossible angle. "But you haven't delivered to this address before, have you?" I think I have," I stammered, though I couldn't recall ever being to this specific house. "No," she said, smile widening unnaturally. "You haven't. Not in this version." I noticed the calendar on the wall. March 14th, 2017. Today was supposed to be March 14th, 2023. "I should go," I said, backing away. "More deliveries waiting." "There are always more deliveries," she nodded, following me. "Always more drivers. But none quite like you, Sarah." I froze. I hadn't told her my name. "How do you?" "We know all the drivers who come to this address," she continued. "In every version of this night. Some stay for dinner. Some try to leave." Her smile faltered. None actually make it back. The front door, which had been just behind me, was gone, replaced by a solid wall with more of those unsettling family photos. "What do you want?" I demanded, panic rising. "To complete the family," she said simply. "Jamie would love it here. Children thrive in the suburbs." My blood turned to ice. "How do you know my son's name?" Her expression changed, became almost pitying. "Oh, Sarah, you really don't remember, do you? This is the 5th time you've delivered to this address. In 5 different versions of tonight." The walls seemed to shimmer, and suddenly I could see through them, into identical living rooms with identical women talking to different versions of me, all in delivery uniforms, all with the same terrified expression I knew was on my face. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. "Jamie keeps asking for you. Says he had a bad dream about a blue house. Your son is sensitive." The woman nodded approvingly. "He can feel the connections between realities. That's why we chose you." I ran for the kitchen door, yanking it open, only to find myself back in the front hallway. "You can't leave until you make a choice," she said calmly. "Stay and join the family collection, or try the next version. The rain never stops, Sarah. The delivery never ends." I pulled out my phone, desperately trying to call 911, but the screen showed only one notification: a new delivery assignment to 1427 Birchwood Drive. The woman's face flickered, revealing something hollow behind the perfect features. "The driveway is that way." She pointed to what had been a closet door. "You'll find your car waiting. And when you reach 1427 again, because you always do, maybe you'll make a different choice." I threw open the door and ran through, expecting another trick, but found myself standing beside my car in the pounding rain. Relief flooded through me as I scrambled inside, hands shaking as I started the engine. The navigation app chimed. New destination added. I looked at the screen, heart sinking. 1427 Birchwood Drive. But the map showed it across town, a different subdivision entirely. I drive all night now, through endless rain. Every delivery takes me to 1427 Birchwood Drive, on streets with different names, in subdivisions that all look the same. Behind each door, the same woman waits with the same offer. Sometimes I see other delivery drivers passing me on the road, their faces hollow with exhaustion. I wonder if they're trapped too, cycling between versions of the same night, the same house, the same impossible choice. If you order food delivery after midnight, and your app says the driver's name is Sarah, please cancel your order. And if you live at 1427 on any street in any neighborhood, check your family photos carefully. Are they changing slightly, day by day? Are there faces you don't recognize starting to appear at the edges? The rain never stops. The delivery never ends. When was the last time you checked the house number on your own front door? Are you sure it's the same as yesterday? Special ingredient. What if the midnight cravings you satisfy aren't just your own? 6 months ago, I was an executive chef at one of Vegas's hottest restaurants. Now I'm delivering greasy takeout across the Nevada desert at 3 a.m. Amazing what one bad review and a temper tantrum can do to a career. The Desert Moon Diner sits alone on Highway 50, America's loneliest road. A neon cactus flickers in the darkness, the only light for miles besides the cold desert stars. Most nights, I pick up orders for truckers or insomniacs in the surrounding towns. Tonight was different. The app notification came at 2:37 a.m. Special delivery request. High priority. The destination was just coordinates, no address, no name. Just a pin dropped in the middle of nowhere 23 miles into the desert. The payout was $200. Too good to pass up. Got something special tonight, Alex, said Marge, the night cook, sliding a package across the counter. Not our usual greasy paper bags, but a sleek black box sealed with red wax. What's in it? I asked. She shrugged. Above my pay grade. Owner says deliver it hot. Don't open it. Don't be late. I never seen the owner, just a name on my paycheck. Sam Luna. Apparently lived somewhere out in the desert. The GPS led me off the highway onto a dirt road that didn't show up on any map. My headlights carve a tunnel through perfect darkness, kicking up dust that hung in the air like mist. The radio caught nothing but static. 20 minutes in, I spotted it. A circle of cars parked in the middle of nowhere. Luxury vehicles, Bentleys, Mazarines, a Rolls Royce. Their owners stood in a circle, wearing expensive suits and cocktail dresses, incongruous against the desert backdrop. I parked and grabbed the box, which was now warm to the touch, and, vibrating slightly, the seal looked like actual wax, with a symbol pressed into it, a crescent moon with what looked like a face inside. A tall man approached. Designer suit, silver hair, smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You're late," he said, though I was exactly on time. "Sorry, sir. I have your delivery from Desert Moon." "The special, yes." He reached for the box. I pulled back instinctively. I need to confirm the order name. His smile tightened. Sam Luna. The owner. Great. He took the box, breaking the seal. An aroma filled the air, not food exactly. Something earthy, primal. Something that made my stomach clench with hunger I hadn't realized I had. "Join us," Luna said, gesturing to the circle. "We always invite the messenger to observe." Professional curiosity got the better of me. What could possibly be worth all this? The circle had formed around a small stone altar that looked ancient, carved with the same crescent symbol. Luna placed the box at its center and opened it fully. Inside was a pulsing, dark red mass that glistened in the moonlight. My chef's instincts cataloged it as some exotic organ meat, maybe heart, prepared with a reduction that made it glisten. But something was wrong. It was still moving. "Perfect," Luna whispered. "Still alive." The circle began chanting in a language I didn't recognize. The mass in the box pulsated faster. "What is this?" I asked, backing away. Luna grabbed my wrist. His fingers were ice cold. The special ingredient. Once a month, when the moon is right, it crosses over. We feed it, it feeds us. An exchange. The mass rose from the box, hovering. It was changing shape, stretching, forming limbs ahead. "What you're witnessing," Luna whispered, "is why my restaurant never fails. Why our food satisfies like nothing else. We have an arrangement with something hungry." I yanked my arm free. "I just deliver the food, man." "No one just delivers," he said. "You're part of the chain now. The connection. Next month, you'll bring another special ingredient." The floating mass had formed into something almost human, but wrong. Mouth too wide, limbs too long. The gathered crowd began removing their jewelry, watches, rings, leaving them on the altar like offerings. "First, it needs to feed," Luna explained. "Then it provides." I ran. Behind me, sounds of wet tearing, of delighted sighs, of something chewing. I tried quitting. Every time, my bank account fills with money I didn't earn. The app always reinstalls itself on my phone. Once a month, like clockwork, a special delivery request appears. I've tried ignoring it, but the hunger comes not in my stomach but deeper in my cells, my bones. I can't eat. Can't sleep until I make the delivery. Tonight, another notification. Special delivery waiting. High priority. But this time, there's a note. Bring a guest. My finger hovers over your profile. You're my next customer. You ordered just a simple burger, but I can see your address. I know you're alone, and I'm so hungry. Do you ever wonder where restaurants get their secret ingredients from? And more importantly, should you be answering the door after midnight? Thank you all for joining me for another spine-chilling tale from the darkest corners of our world. If you're new to Dark Tales Vault and enjoyed having your blood run cold tonight, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm working hard to reach my first 100 subscribers, which would mean the world to me and motivate me to create even more terrifying stories for you all. Every single subscriber counts and is incredibly valuable to me as I build this channel. Until next time, remember, not all hungers can be satisfied with food.